which commenced on June 28th nationwide. Okoye said that 331 accounts were created by intended registrants on the CVR online pre-registration portal, which was launched at 7 a.m. on Monday. He said that the commission would provide Nigerians with weekly updates on the activities on the portal and the online registration status. Okoye encouraged those that would register online to do so, while all other Nigerians would commence their registration on July 19. The Group Managing Director of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, Malam Mele Kyari, has said the price of petrol should be more than 280 naira per litre at which automotive gas oil, also known as diesel, is being sold. Kyari said smuggling of petrol from Nigeria had impacted negatively on the Nigerian oil sector, but added that this would not lead to any closure of the borders. He said during a program that efforts were rather being made to curb smuggling. The NNPC boss said although petrol evacuation by NNPC in Nigeria was currently about 60 million litres daily, the corporation was sure that consumption was not up to that volume.
And what we call consumption today in the country is actually evacuation from fuel depots. That means we evacuate up to 60 million litres average in a month out of, that's on daily basis now. Most average comes around 60 million litres. So we always plan with 60 million litres because we know that anytime we do below that number, we'll have a crisis. And the difference is the realities around us. First, we agree also that there are sharp practices which we are trying to contain, but more importantly, you have what is called the organized cross-border smuggling of petroleum, which is associated with the pricing of petroleum itself. As we are aware, today we are paying 162 naira to the litre. I'm sure many people buy AGO in the market today. It's diesel, yes. Diesel is selling at 280 naira to the litre. So nowhere in the world diesel sells cheaper than, more expensive than PMS. That means that the price of petrol anywhere in the world, assuming you're going to sell it at the market, you're going to sell it at be above that price that you have seen in the market.
On the proposed acquisition of 20% stake in Dangote refinery, Kyari said the corporation was borrowing to buy the stake in the refinery because the refinery business is viable and sustainable. He said the Dangote refinery would start production by 2022, adding that it would deliver over 50 million litres of petrol into the Nigerian markets.
Dangote refinery will come to work. By 2022, it should come into production. And what that will do is to deliver over 50 million litres of gasoline, to be specific, into our markets. We're also working on that. They have a connection. We're also working on our refineries to make sure that we fix them. We have awarded the contract for Port Harcourt refinery rehabilitation. And ultimately, we are going to close that of Warri and Kaduna very soon in July so that all of them will work contemporaneously. And at the end of the day, we'll deliver all of them. The net effect is that you're going to have an environment where Nigeria becomes a hub for petroleum product supply. And it's going to change the dynamics of petroleum supply even globally, in the sense that the flow is coming from Europe today and is going to be reversed to some other direction, will be the supplier for West Africa legitimately and also many other parts of the world. So the meaning of this is that there's an opportunity that has thrown at us. And I'm not sure Mr. Dangote wants to sell his equity in the refinery. I can confirm that it was at our instance that we started this engagement. He did not want to sell these shares in this.
The federal government has arrested the leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu. The Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Mr. Abubakar Malami, SAN, who made the disclosure to journalists, revealed that Kanu was arrested and brought back to Nigeria on Sunday. He said the arrest followed a collaborative effort between security agencies in Nigeria and Interpol.
He has, often jumping bail, been accused of engaging in subversive activities that include inciting violence through television, radio, and online broadcast against the Nigerian state and institutions. Kanu was also accused of instigating violence, especially in southeastern Nigeria, that resulted in the loss of lives and property of civilians, military, paramilitary, police force, and destruction of civil institutions and symbols of civil authorities. Self-acclaimed leader of the proscribed secessionist indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, has, for your information, been intercepted through the collaborative efforts of the Nigerian intelligence and security services. He has been brought back to Nigeria in order to continue facing trial after disappearing while on bail regarding 11-count charge against him.
Meanwhile, Kanu has been taken before the Federal High Court in Abuja for the continuation of his trial on charges bordering on terrorism, treasonable felony, unlawful possession of firearms, and management of an unlawful society. Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, has said that the House will work to pass the Electoral Act Amendment Bill and the Petroleum Industry Bill before it embarks on its summer vacation by the middle of July. In his brief remark on resumption of plenary after 2 weeks break, said the two legislations were very important to the House, hence the need to pass them before the vacation. He said even though the period was very right for the lawmakers, they will do everything possible to ensure that the bills are passed. The Speaker, however, announced that he will be meeting with members of the ad hoc committee on the PIB to iron out some grey areas in the bill. He also announced that the Group Managing Director of the NNPC will brief members of the Parliament on the PIB on Wednesday.
The Petroleum Industry Bill and the Electoral Amendment. The Electoral Amendment. These two pieces of legislation are landmark pieces of legislation, and we need to pass these two before we leave for the summer break. 2 weeks is a very short time, but we must do this work and we must do it thoroughly.
The Oyo State Governor, Mr. Seyi Makinde, has announced the dissolution of the state's Executive Council. It will be recalled that the governor constituted the cabinet on August 14, 2019. The Chief Press Secretary to the governor, Mr. Taiwo Adisa, made this known in a statement in Ibadan. Adisa said that Governor Makinde announced dissolution of the State Executive Council at the end of its weekly meeting, which lasted about 5 hours. According to him, the governor's chief of staff, Chief BC Laka, and 17 commissioners were affected. The council members who were not affected include the Secretary of the State Government, Mrs. Olubami Wadeoshun, Head of Service, Mrs. Amudat Agbola, and the Director General of Due Process Office, Ms. Tara Adefope. The governor expressed the gratitude of the government and the people of Oyo State to the sacked Executive Council members and wished them well in their future endeavors. He equally praised the dedication to duty and the commitment of the council members to the cause of taking the state from poverty to prosperity. Now, 3 persons have been reportedly killed while several others have been injured as policemen in the early hours of Tuesday allegedly stormed Ajawa community in Ogoluwa local government area of Oyo State. The chairman of Ogoluwa local government, Shegun Ojo, and Alajawa of Ajawa, Oba Thompson Adeyeye Oyetunji, who disclosed this while briefing journalists in Ibadan, said policemen from the team of the Inspector General of Police invaded the community in 4 Sienna buses and shot sporadically for some hours in the town. They claim that most residents of Ajawa have abandoned their houses in the area for a safer abode, while both public and private schools in the community have been closed down in the aftermath of the incident. While narrating the gory tales of how one of the victims and community leader in the town, Ifaleye Jayola, was gruesomely murdered, the Alajawa of Ajawa dispelled speculations that the attack was caused by tussle over kingship matters. The council boss and the traditional ruler in the town, however, raised suspicion that the attack might not be unconnected to one Gideon Adeboye, alias Ade Master, an alleged kidnap kingpin, and called on the Inspector General of Police and Oyo State government to investigate the incident. Ajawa community has experienced some form of attack in recent times with speculations of kidnapping activities masterminded by Ade Master, resulting in the killing of innocent members of the community. As at the time of this report, there's been no reaction from the Oyo State Police Command on the incident. The National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, has cautioned importers, distributors, healthcare professionals against the importation, distribution and sale of COVID-19 test kits from Peru. The Director General of the agency, Professor Mojisola Adeyeye, gave the caution in a statement in Abuja. Adeyeye said that the product was considered to be defective by the pharmacovigilance analysis of the agency. The Director General stressed that the test kits did not meet the required IgG specificity and IgM sensitivity standards. She said that the Peruvian Directorate of Medicines, Supplies and Drugs, DIGIMED, had ordered the recall of the defective COVID-19 polymerase chain reaction test kit. According to her, the defective test kit is also said to have produced false positive and negative test results, which could sabotage ongoing COVID-19 surveillance efforts. She also said that healthcare professionals and consumers are encouraged to report adverse events or side effects related to the use of this COVID-19 test kit to the nearest NAFDAC office. You're still listening to the news on Splash 105.5 FM. Now turning to the foreign scene. Rebel fighters in the Tigray region of Ethiopia are continuing to gain ground after recapturing the regional capital Mekelle from government forces. The rebels have now entered the town of Shire, about 140 kilometers to the northwest. Eritrean troops backing the Ethiopian army had earlier abandoned the city. The government has declared a ceasefire in the 8-month conflict, but the rebels have vowed to drive their enemies from Tigray. More than 2 million have been displaced and 350,000 pushed towards famine. Dozens of people have died in Canada amid an unprecedented heatwave that smashed temperature records. Police in the Vancouver area have responded to more than 130 sudden deaths since Friday. Most were elderly or had underlying health conditions, with heat often a contributing factor. The U.S. Northwest has also seen record highs and a number of fatalities. Experts say climate change is expected to increase the frequency of extreme weather events such as heat waves. Finally, in sports, American legend Serena Williams dreams of winning an 8th Wimbledon singles title and equaling Margaret Court's Grand Slam singles record of 24 ended in tears on Tuesday. The 39-year-old was leading 3-1 in the first set of her first round match against Alexandra Sasnovich of Belarus when she slipped and had to have her left ankle examined. Williams returned from receiving medical attention but called it a day at 3-3 and walked off center court in tears. It is the first time that Williams has bowed out in the first round of Wimbledon. Rafael Benitez is set to be announced as the new Everton manager today. Former Liverpool boss Benitez, aged 61, has agreed a 3-year contract to become Carlo Ancelotti's successor at Goodison Park after the Italian resigned from his post to return to Real Madrid on June 1st. The Spaniard, who will become the Toffees' 5th permanent manager in as many years, has received a mixed reaction from the Everton fan base following news he's to be the club's next boss. Benitez's arrival will come 11 years after he left Anfield, where he spent 6 years as Liverpool manager, winning the Champions League and FA Cup. All right, just before we go, a recap of the headlines. INEC has received 42,211 continuous voter registration online applications within 24 hours. NAFDAC has cautioned importers and distributors against Peruvian COVID-19 test kits. Ethiopian rebels have reportedly gained more ground in war-torn north. And in tennis, Serena Williams retires in tears from Wimbledon. For more details on the news, visit our website on www.splashfm1055.com. Now you can download the Splash FM mobile app on iOS, BlackBerry World and Google Play Store to listen live, get news update, opinion poll, and also report an event live to us through the iReport feature. 2 downloads, simply go to any of the stores mentioned and search for Splash FM 105.5, then click to download. We have now come to the end of the news on Splash 105.5 FM, the integrity station and the best radio station in the southwest of the country. The news editor is Tunde Olawowo, assisted by Abidemi Kajobola. I'm Ronke Giwa Onofuwa. Good afternoon and thank you for listening.
Quick, Charger 240.
Hot news, cool vibes, sports, and more